Hey Golf Country fans! At the end of my last video, the underside of my car was looking like this. In today's video, I'm going to install the brake lines that attach to the floor pan because it's a lot easier to do this now without the frame in the way. Here are those same two brake lines as depicted in the VW shop manual. In reality, the brake lines are a lot longer. They run all the way from the master brake cylinder to the rear axle area, where they are joined to the brake lines that fasten to the frame. I'll install those brake lines in a future video. The white plastic mounting clips needed replacing, so I bought some from eBay. They were inexpensive, they shipped quickly, and best of all, they're a perfect fit. Before using the old brake lines as a template for bending the new copper lines, I double-checked that they still retained their original contours. All of the stock brake lines are bubble flared and fastened by a 10mm line nut with a 1mm thread pitch. The new line nuts that I bought from Napa were a good match. The outer diameter of the new copper tubing is 3/16 of an inch. And according to the Google, 3/16 of an inch converts to 4.76 millimeters. I wondered how close the original brake line diameter was to this 4.76 millimeter figure, so I measured it. Turns out it's spot on. I bought this awesome tool for straightening 3/16 inch outside diameter tubing. I got it on Amazon. For a little under $100, it sure wasn't cheap, but it does a great job. I also bought this Mastercool flaring tool set from Amazon. It was pricey, but it does everything I need and it can be used directly on the vehicle. Here's how it works. Step 1, don't forget your line nut. Step 2, sandwich the tubing between the two halves of the die. In this case, I'm using the 4.75 millimeter bubble flare die. Place the tubing and die into the tool and gently clamp them down. The tool has a steel flange that you can use to correctly position the end of the tubing relative to the face of the die. Once you've got everything aligned, firmly cinch down the clamp. Select the appropriate adapter, in my case the 4.75 millimeter bubble flare adapter, and set it into the tool. Turn the handle clockwise until you feel the adapter seat against the end of the tubing. Step 4, close the hydraulic release valve by twisting it clockwise. Finally, squeeze the hydraulic pump handle a few times until you feel resistance, then stop. Release the hydraulic valve by turning it counterclockwise. Unscrew the handle until the adapter is loose. Then unscrew the die clamp to reveal a perfect flare every time. This is literally the first time I used the tool, and you can see how easy it was. I used the original steel lines as a template for bending the new copper tubing. I simply follow them from front to back, duplicating all the twists and turns along the way. Here I'm using that fancy new tubing straightener for the longer stretches. This nickel copper alloy is very simple to work with and doesn't kink as easily as steel tubing does. Here I'm using the flaring tool for only the second time. Copper tubing costs more, but I think it's worth it, especially considering that it won't rust like my original brake lines did. Just double checking the path of the old brake lines. I scavenged some old packing foam out of the garbage to form an air gap between the floor pan and the tubing as I bent it in place. Once I had the basic shape I wanted, I removed the foam and fine-tuned the bends. I cut these lines a little longer than necessary because after I install the frame, I'll have to come back and connect these lines to the rest of the system. In the meantime, the car looks like this. Thanks for watching. Upcoming videos will show my progress on the fuel tank and the heat shields. Bye for now.